What's going on, guys? Foster here, and I'm back with another video. In today's video, I'll be doing an in-depth Nidalee jungle guide. Nidalee right now is actually a really strong jungler because she has a really good clear speed and like a good punishing style of play. So she's also AP, which not many junglers are, which is really good as well. So if you were to be in those situations where you need that, then that's good. Also, another thing about Nidalee is she has like two build variants. One is the supportive style, which can really scale well with like late game champions. So that's another thing you can look at if you're picking your champions to see how your team is working out. Now, Nidalee is not an easy champion to play. She definitely requires some skill. Like, she has the main, like, her main damage source is a skill shield as well. So her jungle clear also requires a little bit more skill. So that's definitely something you need to think about. Yeah, she just requires practice, and go into that with that mindset. She needs practice. You're not going to be good at this initially. So keep that in mind. Now, getting into the runes. Now, there are two rune setups. Actually, yeah, there is a variable build with the same rune setup, I suppose. You have Electrocute or Dark Harvest. Electrocute is more early game oriented, whilst Dark Harvest is more execute style and scales a little bit better into the game. So usually I go for Dark Harvest just because this just feels better for me on Nidalee. However, there are plenty of Nidalee players that just want to like power through the early game with Electrocute and just like really go for those plays. So the Electrocute will then just be more damage, burst damage especially. So going for Electrocute there is an option. Both of these are fine. It's really what you prefer, honestly. There is really no way around it. You see most high elo Nidalees go for Dark Harvest, whilst the lower stages go for Electrocute as well. That's something I've noticed, but yeah, both of them are good. It's completely dependent on you and your playstyle. Moving on from there, you want to go to Sudden Impact. Sudden Impact is pretty obvious. Landing a spear, you walking up with Cougar form, you're going to dash towards the target, and then your Execute's going to do more damage. So that's really good there. Now here you can go either Eyeball Collection or Zombie Ward. Both of these are fine. Zombie Ward's usually more a higher elo thing because there's actually wards being placed, whilst lower elo people just don't ward. So this is going to go to waste in that situation. But yeah, and now going for here, you have two options. You have Relentless Hunter, which is good for tempo. So what tempo means is you can really get ahead of the enemy jungler. You're going to roam around the map faster. So it's going to be, you're going to clear your camps faster. You're going to be able to invade and react faster and just speed up the game's tempo at that stage. So you're going to like, yeah, it's really like self-explanatory that way. Also being able to get the objectives and just running around the map a lot faster is really good for Nidalee. That's just a massive thing because she pretty much one-shots all of her camps, so move speed's the only thing kind of holding you back from your jungle clear speed. Now, one other rune or option here is Ravenous Hunter. This option is really there if you're going to face assassins, really. So brawling champions, I'd say, if the 1v1s are gonna matter a little bit more. So think Rengar, Kha'Zix, those types of champions. In those situations, having the healing from this is actually gonna give you a chance to fight back. If you're going Relentless Hunter, which is good for tempo, of course, but Ravenous is gonna be better for those types of situations where you're actually just being able to 1v1 the enemy and being able to win those fights. You will have Red Smite, you will have Ravenous Hunter then, and then it's going to be pretty difficult for them to actually just kill you straight off, and you're still going to be able to either one-shot them back or just do a lot of return damage either way. So that's for those types of situations. This is a very brawl-heavy rune. It works pretty well on Nidalee because your Q and your both Qs do a lot of damage, and this is going to stack with that pretty nicely. So it's going to be a nice amount of sustain, but you're going to have a lot less move speed. Just keep that in mind. So the option there. And then for the secondary tree, you have two options as well. You have the option of Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight. You also have the option of going for Perfect Timing. Perfect Timing, again, is an option you could go for if you're facing those Brawl champions. So Rengar, Kha'Zix, those champions, this can save you definitely in crucial situations. And that would be a good rune to opt for. Now, any other case, just Magical Footwear would work, and then Cosmic Insight is usually what I would go with. Now, the other tree you can go with is the Sorcery tree. This tree is pretty good on Nidalee. This Water Walking is also like really good because of the 25 move speed and just the extra fight power in the river. This synergizes really well on the tempo stage as well. So the extra move speed whilst like walking through the river up and down to counter gank, or maybe even to just fight in the river, is going to give you a lot of extra power there. So this is really like damn good there. Now here you can go for nullifying orb as well potentially if you're facing AP champions. Nimbus Cloak is a pretty good option as well. This is going to make it like pretty easy to catch up to people. So if you were to land a spear and then also smite them, then Nimbus Cloak is pretty much just guaranteed for you to be on top of them, which is really good for champions with high escapes. So if you're facing maybe a Jarvan that can EQ away or something like that, if you have Nimbus Cloak alongside landing a spear and getting the extra move speed from that, there's literally no way they're getting away from you. So that would be an option there. This is usually the one I would go opt for just because of the chase, like the chase you can have. Like you have so much move speed they cannot get away from you. Absolute Focus is also a pretty good option since you're going to be pretty healthy at all times, so you're going to get a nice amount of extra damage from this. But I would always go with Water Walking just because of the simple fact that it synergizes really well with your high pressure playstyle, and yeah, on Nidalee really that's it. So that's pretty much the. Oh, actually no, for this one you just want to go attack speed, adaptive force, and then armor or magic resist, depending on the enemy team. Now if they're full AD or full AP, you can still opt to go double armor and double magic resist. That's up to you, but I would usually still pick adaptive force just for the jungle clear speed. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the runes. If you guys have questions on this, make sure to put those in the comments below, and let's get right into the item build now. Right, so for the item build we have the Hunter's Talisman with a refillable potion. Refillable potion, just a standard start. This talisman is probably the best one, unless you're already certain that you're going to opt for a single clear out. So single camps, then the machete is better just for more damage output. But in general, talisman is the best option to go for because you're still going to be versatile. Then you can still opt to go for different styles of clears. So that's really up to you, but talisman overall would take the cake. And then refillable just for some extra sustain. Nidalee already has a lot of built-in sustain, so you should be fine regardless. Now, moving on from this, you have jungle items. Definitely want to go with red smite on Nidalee. You might think, why not blue smite? Well, blue smite doesn't really do anything for you anymore. Like, you can slow down the enemy to make landing a spear a little bit easier. So I guess if you're not too confident in your spears, then you can opt for that. But usually Nidalee is pretty squishy. So in any 1v1 she gets into, then she has a high chance of actually just getting killed. Depending on the enemy champion, of course. But red smite kind of counteracts that a little bit more because of the like damage reduction and just the brawling passive you get from this. So this is definitely just more beneficial. Also, if you were to combine it with Nimbus Cloak, then you would still have kind of the Stalker's Blade effect, apart from slowing them, of course. But yeah, it still work a little bit the same way. So red smite is definitely just the one you want to get since Nidalee is so squishy. Now, of course, the jungle item you want to upgrade is to his Runic Echoes. Runic Echoes on Nidalee is the one because she just scales really well with AP. Also, CDR is really nice on Nidalee. More spears, more healing. Always good. And this, as soon as you get this item, you're literally just one-shotting your camps. So you can easily just go and full clear down in like, I don't even know, 25-30 seconds maybe. That might be a little bit fast. I don't know the exact time, but you're really quick. And you definitely want to keep rotating your camps as much as possible to keep your experience lead going and your gold lead going. Usually Nidalee will outlevel the enemy jungler by a lot. Unless they're really Karthus or anything like that. But if they're Karthus, then you can also just invade. Since Nidalee is pretty good against the Karthus for the invade style. But this one-shot camp, so this is a really big power spike. Moving on from that, you want to go for... Actually, wait, I do want to mention that the... Dark Seal is a really good item on Nidalee. So if, for example, you don't have the gold for your entire jungle item, you can go and opt to buy a Dark Seal somewhere in between. This scales really well if you get kills or assists. If you get this to 10 stacks, Magi's is a god tier item on Nidalee because surviving on Nidalee really isn't that difficult, and the extra move speed from that's really good. But also just like the extra damage, the extra AP you get from just that cheap of an item is really strong. So Magi's is almost core build on Nidalee. So picking up a Dark Seal early on is going to be very beneficial to get them stacks going. So that's really what you want to like always try to pick it up early. Maybe after a jungle item, depending on how much gold you back with, of course. But always try to pick this up pretty quickly. Now moving on, Boots is just Strix, again, you could have picked up maybe boots early if you don't go for the magical footwear, of course. Me usually going with magical footwear is the reason I don't really pick up boots, and I just have that slot for Dark Seal. This is what I prefer, but if you're going the Nimbus Cloak route or just the Sorcery Tree route, rather than picking up some boots early, could also be very beneficial, since move speed is one of the things holding you back in your jungle clear, especially after completing your jungle item. Now, after this, you have 2 build paths you could go into. Usually, if you're doing really well, you can go and opt to upgrade the Dark Seal into a Magi's, of course. But then also going for a Lich Bane is a very high and effective damage item on Nidalee. This item could be very good depending on the situation. If you're not doing too well, then going for a Lich Bane is not smart. Then it's better to just go straight up support Nidalee. Still pick up a Magi's though, but if you're not doing too well and well, your team needs more healing, then opting for a Chalice is a better play, just to give your team a higher amount of heal and being able to poke from a distance. So in that situation, also Chalice is really cheap. 2100 gold for such a good item on Nidalee is really, really good. So this is pretty easy to get. This setup, it's very cheap. So even if you're not doing too well, you could easily opt for this. If you're doing a little bit better, then going a Lich Bane is still fine. Even if the game then takes a turn for the worst, having a Lich Bane isn't the worst thing. You can easily still keep that and then just opt for a support build still. The Magi's, it gives you enough ability power to kind of counteract the loss, I suppose. So that be there. And then for the Ardent Sensor, Nidalee, like for a really supportive style, you can go for this setup right here. This Dark Seal will then be the Magi's, of course. And this will gonna be a 6-item build. So if you went for Lich Bane, then sure, that's fine. Late game Lich Bane, if you're going the support build, is not good at all. So late game, if you're getting to that stage with a support setup, you want to switch out the Lich Bane for a death cap, just to up your AP value. You definitely do want to keep your Magi's though. You don't care about Magic Pen, you don't care about anything like that, simply because you're mainly using your spears to do some damage. It's still going to do relevant damage because this build setup with a max stack Magi's is going to give you like 700 to 800 ability power usually. And then your heals are just going to heal for like a K. And then also Ardent Sensor is going to give a lot of attack speed alongside your E that already gives attack speed. So you're going to be able to give your ADC, for example, 100% attack speed. I believe it's even a little bit more. But something like 100% extra attack speed. And then also the on-hit effect with a massive heal from like 1000 HP. So this setup right here for a late game Nidalee support style is really, really good. It's also pretty cheap, as you can see. The items don't really go past 2500 gold until you get the death cap, of course. But this setup right here is pretty core. Now, if you're doing really well in the game and you're not having to go opt for a support setup like this, then you can go for the Magi or for the Lich Bane setup and then just going full AP. This is the playstyle I prefer, but in some games I just don't have a choice and I have to go and opt for the support style. But this is a more fun style. You do more damage, you can actually win teamfights a little bit more, and especially if some of your teammates, especially your mid laner, isn't doing too well, or like you don't really have a reliable AP source on your team, then you doing more AP damage is going to become more relevant. Now, usually I will pick up this, and then the next item I will pick up a Zonias, because Zonias is just really good to keep your Magi stacks alive. Going in with the Lich Bane and then just one-shotting somebody pretty much, because you're not going to go in unless you land your spear alongside then a Cougar combo, which is going to always one-shot a squishy, especially if you're doing well and having a lead, then there's no way they're living that one. And this Zonias is just going to make sure that you don't lose your Magi stacks for just jumping into the enemy team and then giving your team time to follow that up. Now, right here, you can go up for a death cap, but this really just depends on the enemy team and if they're building magic resist or not. If there are a bunch of squishy targets that don't really build MR, then going for a death cap is just going to give you a high amount of AP, which is going to make it easy for you to one-shot squishies. If that's not the case and they're opting towards going for like more magic or like more magic resist, then the Void Staff is going to be better initially than this would be, simply because of the fact that this gives you a lot of extra magic pen, and you're still, because of Magi's, your AP value is going to be really, really high. Now, if you opted for this build and you cannot keep your Magi stacks alive that easily, then you can of course drop the Magi's and just pick up a death cap. Still, to have this type of full build, does a lot of damage, and yeah, I mean, it's something to think about. Now, one other thing, if you are facing high tank, so if you were to maybe force to pick Nidalee first pick and then face a bunch of tanky champions, then the Liandry's is still a very, very good damage item as well. This is just gonna then just be able for spell burn, also increases damage. Usually I don't pick up the Liandry's that much on Nidalee, but into heavy tank teams, then this is actually gonna be very beneficial alongside like a Void Staff and all that, over just going for like straight burst for a death cap, because, well, they're gonna have built so much magic resist that that's gonna just annoy you a little bit more than usual. So that would be an option there as well. I think that pretty much covers everything for Nidalee. So if you guys have any questions on it, if you think I forgot something, make sure to put those in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer that. I will definitely read the comments. I'll read every single comment. So yeah. Anyway, if you guys have enjoyed this video so far, please make sure to hit the thumbs up button. And let's just get right into the gameplay section now. Alright, welcome to the gameplay section of this guide. As you can see, I am playing Nidalee, of course, into a Rek'Sai. Now, this matchup for Nidalee isn't that bad. Means Nidalee clears with jungle way faster. Plus, well, Rek'Sai needs to get in range of you to actually do something. If Rek'Sai cannot get in range, then you will most likely win the matchup. But yeah, also another thing is if Rek'Sai is burrowed, it's pretty difficult for Rek'Sai to see a spear coming. So if you can land it, it's pretty much more so free to land those spears. If there aren't any wards around, of course. So if you were to wait in the jungle for Rek'Sai and she is like walking through tunnel-wise and you stand still, you throw a spear, it's almost guaranteed to land unless you really troll it or the Rek'Sai makes some random ass direction change. So that's one thing to note, that you can easily just take control over jungle, and with Nidalee you do definitely want to take control over any jungle either way. Now for Nidalee's jungle clear, this is probably going to be one of the biggest things, so I'm going to do this a little bit slower. Since the early jungle clear is where people could struggle with the champion. So what I do is I start Q, and I just start way out on max Q range so that I can get the most damage from the Q. Since it scales with range, as you can see, up on distance flown, so the max damage will be hit if you stand the furthest back. If I do that, then I will walk up to it, auto attack maybe a few times, go into Cougar form as you can see, and finish this off. I just auto attack it a couple more times. Now, hitting level 2, there are two options. If you are going for a full clear, which I am going to be going for this game, you want to go Q into W, because this is better for the AoE. The W resets will help you clear the camps a lot easier. So this camp and this camp mainly. Also Wolf camp is a little bit faster with that. But if you're just going for invade style, so if you're really going for punishing the enemy jungler, which I can't really do against their Rek'Sai, because he's still, or she is still pretty strong early game. The way, like the situation you want to do the other one, where you go from red, for example, to blue, to maybe even Gromp. Usually I'll take these three camps and then invade this. Nidalee is so fast at this that she will be fine if you take a point in E. E is better for single target camps because it gives you 20% attack speed. So going for that and then doing a triple buff, or like a 3 camp clear, you can still get here in time. You can also, if you want, go for the red into blue and then do it, but then you'll still be level 2, which is a little bit awkward, and you don't really lose too much clear speed on Nidalee. She's really fast. So any junglers that have trouble clearing, or just like junglers that aren't good in the early game, is junglers where you want to do that clear. So you want to do like 3 camps, these single target camps, so blue, Gromp, and red buff, into an invade on either side, depending on where they start and where you start. You kind of have to predict where they start in order to make this work, but you can also switch up your plan if you want to. If, for example, you're starting red buff, predicting that they're starting blue buff, and you want to clear up and invade them here. If you start red and then you see that they start red by the top laner being late in lane, then you can go for red and then take a point in W, because this is then faster. Then you can hop over this wall right here and then take his blue and his Gromp for free pretty much. So that's something to keep in mind, and that's really the early game thing with Nidalee. So this game, I'm playing against a pretty strong early game champion. Also, my laners are fairly weak compared to theirs, apart from maybe top lane or got stronger early on. But Corki and like 80 carries basically. Also, Vayne is pretty like bad early game, so I don't really have the luxury of invading without really being punished. So I'm going for a full clear. all of that combination. So if you have questions on that, put it in the comments. I will try to explain it better. I think I got it pretty well, but yeah. So what you really want to do is just make sure that you kite the camps. Now I just use my W resets on these. You can also use your Q and into W. These pretty much cancels the animation. If you were to Q a camp, for example, or a small minion, and then W to the other side, you're going to get a W reset still. So that's pretty good. Something to keep in mind. You see, I'm pretty much just making sure that I kite the camp and hit as many Ws and Qs as possible. Now with the healing, I will start healing myself for the 20% attack speed mainly. Not really necessary for the health, but it's nice. You'll get your blue buff pretty quick anyway, so you can go here, and with the blue buff you will be fine with mana. So hitting the full clear is pretty quick. I did it pretty slow this game actually. Usually you'd finish your full clear at about 315, 320. So I made a couple mistakes. I, for example, on the Raptor camp, didn't put my trap properly, so it procced on the same one and it cost me some time. But if perfect clear should be about 315, 320-ish. Now on Rek'Sai, I pretty much predicted he would not have gone for a full clear, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take his like camps on top side while I counter jungle him. Also leave those small minions, it's pretty important. If you leave the small minions, there's no comeback experience. So he is still gonna have to clear those camps, and then he will lose a lot on that. And Rek'Sai's bot again. He ganked bot twice now, and both times my bot lane has died to a gank that I pretty much said they would. Or he would, or like, yeah. So, kind of unlucky. Your bot lane, your Vayne being 0-2 at 4 minutes 30 in the game is a little bit unfortunate, but what can you do? Now here, Urgot lands a really nice flip, which is nice. I can pretty much land a free spear off that. Also, something to remember, always with your spear, never try to just hit it. Always try to wait for your laner if they have any form of CC, literally any form of CC. A flip from Urgot, for example, but also like Renekton W, anything that CCs the enemy, always wait with your spear for that CC. Because that CC is pretty much going to guarantee you landing your spear. And if you don't, then it's gonna get a little bit awkward, because then, well, if you throw it and then they get CC'd, then it's pretty much, why the hell did I miss my spear? It's really no reason. So always make sure you wait for something like that. And yeah, also, if the target's running, you could still throw a spear if you want, but even then I would usually get in closer, especially if I have red buff, to just walk in closer, maybe red smite him, maybe just auto attack him a couple times, and then they will try to dodge the spear anyway, so then you can land your spear a little bit easier or just gain more time off it. Now, Rise gets flipped, gets hit, and pretty much instantly dies. This was a pretty free gank at this point. I just took Rek'Sai's top side, so yeah. I'm currently sitting on 1500 gold. Rek'Sai is not ahead of me, even though he has 2 kills, which is something to take note of. I got 1 kill, he got 2 kills, but I have way more farms, so actually I am ahead of him. Or her, I guess, by quite a margin. Now right here, I'm just gonna have to make sure that I keep clearing. There's nothing I can do about this dragon right now. I knew he was doing it. It was pretty obvious that at this point the jungler with like a lead in bot lane is gonna do Drake, because it's pretty much free. But since like my bot lane died twice, Vayne is 0-2, just for being reckless really, there's nothing I can do bot side, so I'm gonna have to just farm out and maybe gank bot lane if I have a chance that Rek'Sai is not there, but otherwise they're just gonna be a little bit too strong. So right here, oh, wait a second. Alright, I just hit level 6 at 6 minutes, which is really good. It's pretty common with Nidalee, if you can... Like, you can easily hit high levels, high XP rates with Nidalee because she clears so quickly, and also she's very dominant in the early game. So what I did with clearing Rek'Sai's top side and leaving those small minions, always leave the small minions if you're invading, because, well, unless you're very far ahead and you can come back to take the camps again, but if not, just leave the small minions, so Rek'Sai is going to lose out on a lot of experience. As you can see in the experience difference, I'm level 6, Rek'Sai is level 4. That's a pretty big difference. Now, right here, we see the Corki mid lane. He has no mana. His Valkyrie is something to note. That's always something you want to know as a jungler. What can they even use their escapes? His Valkyrie is 100 mana. He doesn't have 100 mana at 34, so he cannot Valkyrie away. The only thing he can do is flash, but Katarina told me he flashed already. So Corki has no escapes. What does that mean? Oh, we just walk into the lane and go for it. So Katarina goes in. That's one of the spears. You could go, like, that's one of those spears where you can go for it. It's kind of a, it might sound a little bit troll, but it's kind of a zoning spear at the same time. You can hold it a little bit longer as well, but he has to step back. If he steps that direction and tanks my spear, he's always guaranteed to die. But now in this situation, Katarina gets a little bit more damage off. Now, at this point, I just red smite him. I just keep auto attacking him as much as possible, and I go in for the Q here, and then he dies. The way you want to go in with your Cougar form is pretty much always to execute people. So try to get them low with your like human form, maybe landing a spear or something. If they're low enough to where your Cougar form is gonna pretty much just burst them out, then that's where you want to switch. So that's kind of, you're gonna have to feel for that one. It's not really something I can just tell you how low they have to be. So just get a feel for it, and then yeah, if they are not in execute range, it's probably not smart to just go for Cougar form, because usually you just want to kite them out. Now at this point I'll probably have my jungle item. Yep, there we go. As soon as you complete your jungle item, your clear speed's gonna go through the roof. So right now this is a situation where I can, after red buff, look for a potential gank on bot lane, because I have jungle item, Rek'Sai does not. So if Rek'Sai were to, for example, go for a counter gank, then we still have a pretty high chance of winning just because I'm that much stronger. Also, the enemy bot lane really hasn't back chat, so they're sitting on 1400 and 1200 gold respectively. So this is definitely the time for me to like look for this. I was paying attention to the items that bot lanes buy. Oops. So if you see this and they will stay on the same items for a long time, or like a couple minutes especially, then look for ganking bot lane at the end of that time, because then, as you see, they have a lot of gold, so you can easily do something with that. I put my sweeper on to make sure that this isn't warded, so I can just walk in without too many issues. Now at this point, I'm standing here, I can't walk here. This wave is pushing towards our side, which is ideal. Now there are two things that can happen. I can throw a spear and lead, but usually, as I said, you want to wait for the CC. So I'm gonna wait for a Thresh hook to see if he can potentially hook the Lucian or bait him in. So right here, I'm just waiting for a Thresh flay, a Thresh hook. Now Thresh flays there, that's fine. And then I just throw my spear. Now the way I throw my spear in a minion wave situation is I always try to throw it right like past the minion wave. So if they were to maybe step out this way or anything like that, then they can hit by the spear. Now this spear is admittedly pretty troll, but that's the thing that can happen if you throw it like really just past the minions. It can just hit the champion like that, and in this case it did. He loses half his HP and instantly dies off that. I'm just gonna flash for it. Flash WQ, there's no way he can do anything about that, and he just dies. So off a pretty nasty spear, I get a free kill, basically. But yeah, just look at the positioning of the spear. That's the most important thing when it comes to like going for spears and minion waves. Of course, you can hit it right through if you have the chance. But if not, if the minion wave is just walking in, try to always clip it just past the minions. As you see right there. He got kind of body blocked into it by the minion, by the other ranged minion, so that's pretty good. That's the way you want to really throw your spears. Now Rek'Sai was just topside, so this is really good for me. I can just go back to clearing my entire jungle, quickly sweep through it, gain my gold from that, and then we're good. Now my blue is up, so I actually opted to go rush for my blue buff instead, to see if Rek'Sai was doing it, because I am stronger than Rek'Sai right now for sure, since I have completed my jungle item. And Nidalee does more damage if you can light your spear on the Rek'Sai. So going for this, Rek'Sai is top again. Urgot dies sadly, but there's not much you can do about it. So I'm just gonna hold the wave right now, get whatever I can. And at this point, I think Rek'Sai might be going for the Rift Herald, so I think I'll check that in a second. Yeah, I do Gromp, I go check Rift Herald. He is doing Rift Herald. At this point, there's nothing he can do. Something you do have to note about a matchup like this. Don't get into melee range if you don't have to. Like, there's no reason for me to walk up to him because he has Hail of Blades. If I were to walk into melee range like this, I'm 2 levels ahead, by the way, just because of the farming thing. But yeah, if I were to walk into melee range right now, then he could easily just, with his Hail of Blades, burst me down, since I'm pretty squishy as Nidalee. So always, I'm just trying to stand on range here, see what I can do. Katarina's coming, Urgot's coming. I could have pretty much a free Rift Herald here. Always try to keep it in your mind what the objectives are going to be and if they're doing it, because you definitely do not want to be giving those away for free. Alright, let's go back here. So I finish Rift Herald. I see the Katarina going for this. She jumps on. She kills Rek'Sai pretty free there. Well, not really free actually. She had a Plastic Knife for it. I walk up. I heal her. I'm just gonna put in support and try to land a spear. He flashes that spear unfortunately, else he would have instantly died. Urgot's coming as well. Now at this point, we probably should have backed off already because Rek'Sai is about to respawn 2 seconds. It's not that long. And we kind of overchase this one pretty heavily. Katarina dies, Urgot dies, and I think I die as well eventually. Let me see. But that was just a massive overchase. There's really not much to be done. Yeah, I die by a 4-man chase, which is a interesting thing, honestly. But yeah, don't overchase things like that. If you don't have, like, if you get the kill on Rek'Sai or just the enemy jungler early game and then try to chase through, keep in mind that death timers are pretty low, so you definitely want to keep, yeah, you just want to keep very good notice of that one. Thresh just died. That Rek'Sai is definitely looking towards doing this Drake, so I'm gonna be playing around this as much as I can. The Urgot gets the solo kills, and Rek'Sai now here starts Drake, which, in combination with my spear, is pretty unlucky for the enemy team. Wait, I'll just show it. I always try to, with Nidalee, you can always go for the attempt, because, well, your spears do quite a hefty amount of damage, which you can actually, right here. My spear does about, whatever that number is, 390 plus 152 is 542. Not exactly because of magic resist, but yeah, that's still, if you look at the smite value, it's 600 for a smite value. So it's not that far off. Like, it's, if they, like one auto attack from Rek'Sai, for example, can do 100 damage easily. So if this goes below the smite value, my spear has a high chance of still stealing it, which is really good. So right here, my spear barely doesn't get it by 30 HP, unfortunately. But then the Thresh comes in with the clutch hook, which is very, very nice. The Rek'Sai really couldn't outsmite this because that spear is pretty much a smite if you hit it from far away enough. So that's why you always want to attempt those on Nidalee. You don't really lose anything for just hitting a spear. If you're the enemy jungler and you have a Nidalee against you, always try to block the spear as well. So stand in between, like maybe ward over the wall and stand in between the Nidalee and the Drake. Or in between the Nidalee and the Baron. Because if you're going to give her that spear, the likelihood of her stealing is pretty high. My bot lane's 1 in 4, which is a little bit scary. She unfortunately has a stopwatch, which is a wonderful item. I very much enjoy that item. So she lives, sadly. We can use the Rift Herald here. The Vayne kind of gets killed. A little bit awkward. We could have just waited for the Rift Herald. The Rift Herald would have been fine. We didn't need the minion wave. Rift Herald could have just tanked the turret initially, and then we would have been, like, again, completely fine. So right here I'm just opting to go for my red buff and maybe go for another gank on bot lane, depending on if he overstays. Now, unfortunately there, I was predicting my spear to have to, like, kind of get him in his path or in his dash, maybe. But this guy was not paying attention, so yeah, I kind of just throw my spear right next to him. If that spear hit, he would have instantly died because my spear hitting pretty much means I insta-kill him. As you can see, he just stands still. I did not expect this. I expected him to dash up. He reacted way too late, and yeah, that's a bit unfortunate there. Currently sitting on 800 gold. This game, I'm doing pretty well. I'm gonna be going for the Lich Bane in this situation still. I can scale off this right now. And yeah. If you're doing pretty well, you can opt to go for Lich Bane. You don't have to, of course. You can still go full support Nidalee or anything like that. But I tend to go for AP Nidalee where I can to be able to do enough damage to carry my team in some situations. I figured this game with the 0-4 Vayne at this point, we needed it. Vayne is pretty much just walking up by herself at this point and running it down. As you can see, her dying in this position is really, really bad, and that's just very unfortunate. So yeah, I'm gonna opt to go for some damage. Now, one thing to do note that I was initially planning to just go for a Chalice and Ardent build on Nidalee this game because I have Urgot, I have a Vayne, so Ardent is obviously gonna be amazing on those two champions. And also, like, the healing from Chalice is gonna support Vayne with a lot of auto attack speed, and Urgot just for the healing. He's gonna be frontlining, I can heal them up. So my team is pretty, like, good in team fighting, but they don't really have that much sustain. Of course, Urgot goes for a Death's Dance, but sustaining them would be the best thing for team fighting. And I do believe I switched this game. Since in a lot of games where I go for example, a Lich Bane, and then try to go for the AP variance build, so go for damage, and then I just notice how team fights are going, then I'll still switch. Which I believe this game is one of those examples. So I'm just gonna keep my farming going. I'm a good margin ahead of Rek'Sai, even though Rek'Sai kind of got a lot of free ganks off on bot lane. Just by Vayne walking up a little bit too far, but there's nothing you can do about that one. You see Rek'Sai there, I'm just gonna scout his bot side jungle and then see if anything is up, clear some tunnels. There's a pink there, but the fight's going on mid lane. Now this fight's pretty bad for us to take, we're getting chased as well, so I'm kind of wary about this fight. I'm not really willing to go for it. Also, I'm like 1 experience away from level 11, which is a little bit awkward. But yeah, the Vayne's coming in from the other side. Vayne doesn't really do anything. I missed my spear, and Katarina just really wanted to go in. So yeah, Katarina gets out through the bot side, I believe. But I get cut off and die, which is a little bit unfortunate positioning-wise for me there. I should have not have gone for that. I should have just like walked down and stayed more on range for my spears. And then potentially gave Katarina a jump if she needed it. So that was a misplay there, mispositioning there. Definitely do not want to be trying the front line as Nidalee or just walk into positions like that, because you're really a ranged poke champion when it comes to team fights initially. And my team still picks up the Drake though, which is really, really good. And I'm just going to go and clear some more of my camps, making sure that I keep my experience value going and just my gold income going as well. Definitely do not want to be falling behind on that one. Here we just saw them place the ward, so I'm instantly sweeping those down. At this point we can't really walk up, we just want to do the Rift Herald because we just saw them walk this direction. We can easily have the position on the Rift Herald right now. So if we all would go for Rift Herald, that would be the best play. Now the Thresh opted to go for a face check or something like that on the Tri-Brush, which is really not smart. If you would have just gone in position for us to be defending Rift Herald, then they would have to engage us, which would be better for us. And yeah, now we see Vayne just chilling on bot lane right now. I don't really think this is a good strategy, honestly, for the way this game is going right now. We have a pretty strong top side of the map, with a pretty weak bot side of the map, but Thresh is still useful, of course. Now, the way Vayne can get back into this game is obviously by farming, AFK farming for like 12 to 15 minutes, which usually like ADCs do. Now, do mind this elo is probably like Diamond 1-ish, so even people here do it, but in my opinion, it's way better to like make use that your top side is still pretty strong, to try to get some kills in teamfights as Vayne, or try to get some assists, because that's just gonna, one, you're gonna be there for presence, so it's not gonna be a 4v5, you're still gonna do some damage, and then two, it's gonna be a situation where, well, if she were to, for example, pick up a quadruple kill by me just healing her and just getting enemies low enough, then she's instantly back in the game. So instead of AFKing for 15 minutes, like, being proactive is a little bit more beneficial. Now here Thresh gets caught by face checking, and at this point we kind of have to give up the Herald, there's not much we can do. Yeah, Katarina also gets a little bit caught out of position there, not much we can do. Like, my teammates just keep walking in and dying at this stage, so I'm just gonna beware of that one. They get hit way too many times. I'm also at this point starting to question a little bit my Lich Bane build with the way this game is going. My team is really going in and just getting caught and getting free damage on them, so I was thinking maybe I should have gone for Chalice. At this point I pretty much already have completed my Lich Bane, so I could still have swapped and gone for maybe a Gauntlet setup with then Ardent and Chalice and stuff like that. That would have probably been smarter, but at this stage I was just a little bit starting to question it. Because I could still pop off, but yeah. So you will see me buy the Lich Bane here, and then the Magi's. Magi's is just a great item on Nidalee anyway, because usually you're pretty safe. If you can play your team fights properly, then there's a very low chance of you actually dying if they don't really have assassins, which they don't. So I can keep my distance pretty easily, and I'm just gonna go opt for Magi's for that reason. Also, the moment you hit that 10% extra move speed, you're just gonna be kiting them even better. I'm just looking to hit some spears to just get some free damage off at this stage. Scouting with my W's before I walk into brushes, which is very, very key thing to do. The dragon's about to spawn, so we definitely want to look towards having pressure on that dragon. They use Rift Herald mid lane, which is a good play from them. Urgot TPs to defend the Rift Herald, which is also a good play. Katarina just goes in and ints. Now I, at this stage, had a decision to make. I could go for the instant kill on Lucian, which is going to be 900 gold, which is what I did. Or I could try to survive, but that means Lucian also survives, and he's one of their strongest members. So I just opt to kill the Lucian and then kind of hope that my team will be able to either do or defend the dragon. I get ignited as well. Yeah, but my team then kind of just dies a little bit. For me, it was 900 gold, so it was still pretty worth it. But yeah, we unfortunately now lose a Drake for it, I think. So on the one hand, it's 900 gold for me. On the other hand, we lose a Mountain Dragon. I think we would have lost a Mountain Dragon regardless of me jumping in. So that's why I, in the moment, just decided to suicide for Lucian. And get 900 gold for his shutdown. Now at this point, you see me building a Wisp, which is going to obviously go into the Ardent Sensor. Like right now, I just noticed that Urgot is going to do a lot with Ardent Sensor, and Vayne, if she comes to team fights, is going to do a lot with Ardent Sensor as well. If Vayne gets Rage Blade, it's going to be even better, but as of right now, just Ardent Sensoring and Urgot is like immense. Just the extra damage on all of his auto attacks, and he does a lot of them. It's going to be pretty massive. Right, so Urgot get kind of caught out here, which is a little bit unfortunate, but yeah, there's not much I can do for him right now. We just have to kite this out and just walk back. Now they will probably look for going for Baron right now, and I don't think there's much I can do about it. I'm just gonna try to walk in. Don't face check, always use your spears and your Ws to check brushes, as you see me do. Now they already pick up the Baron, so I'm just gonna instantly walk back. Try to land some spears in the path where they walk. Maybe heal the Thresh a little bit here and there. Always stand back far enough to where you cannot get engaged on while still being able to do damage or put pressure out with your spears and your healing. Because that's the way you want to play teamfights with Nidalee late game mainly. You can go in, especially if you're going for an AP build, you can go in if you land a good spear, but you definitely do not want to be going in before landing a spear. So my team, my Katarina, kind of just jumps in again, which is a little bit unfortunate. The enemy team at this point is doing pretty damn well. They're 5k ahead. Now, the good thing is we do skill pretty well. Like, really well, actually. We have a Katarina, Vayne, Urgot late game. And if I would have opted to go full support Nidalee from the start, then I would have been in a better position now, because I would have pretty much completed my Grail and my Ardent Sensor, which, yeah, that would have been a pretty big spike to be able to heal people through teamfights. So I kind of just made a little bit of a mistake on that one in this specific game. Always try to assess it as fast as possible in games. In some games, going AP is better. In other games, like mainly games where you're snowballing, AP is better. In other games, just going full support Nidalee is better, because supporting champions that are good at team fighting or good in general, then you're just gonna put more value on them. I'm just standing back, landing as many spears as I can, doing as much damage as I can. At this point I'm thinking maybe they can end the game here, which would be a little bit unfortunate, because my team is still dead. But yeah, we can still go for just doing some damage. Urgot lands a really nice ultimate right there, which kind of saves us, because that kind of forces them to instantly back away. Rek'Sai gets feared, and we do win a team fight off of this one, which is amazing for us, and we get some good shutdowns. Now that's pretty much the enemy kind of overstaying and not really focusing the turret down that quickly, which is a really good situation for us, and we really needed that situation. I was Sire the Ryze, I was trying to cut him off, but of course Ryze is just going to recall with Baron. And at this point we're just going to have to go fight for this Drake. Again, here, the key aspect, as you saw right there, always check brushes where you're just not certain if the enemy is going to be. Always check them first with W or Q. The enemy was in that brush, so I definitely do not want to get flanked on and killed for no reason. Now, for that situation, they are going to be pretty out of position, so we get the jump on Leona, and then we get a nice hook on Corki here, and Leona goes in. They kind of suicide back to back, which is amazing for us. And this also kind of just fixes my mistake. As you can see, I'm now 16 stacks on the Jais. As a Nidalee, keeping those stacks really isn't that difficult, as you really haven't seen me die that much lately. So the red buff just respawned, so I instantly beeline for that, so the Corki or the Lucian cannot have this, which is really good. Then I cleared this camp as well, just to get some more gold. I think I'm getting pretty close to a Chalice right now. Chalice is 2100 gold. If I get that item at this point, then I'm going to be a really good assist or like support for team fighting. I can land some high damage spears whilst also being able to heal my teammates for like 900 HP. Get the spear on the wrap up there for the nice kill. I am now less than 100 gold away, picking up the blue here. And this is probably where I pick up Chalice. Yeah. So at this stage in the game, I'm just going to be supporting Nidalee. I'm going to support my late game champions, which are Urgot, Katarina, still pretty late game champion, and Vayne, of course. They are all really, really strong, so they can frontline for me whilst I just like stay back like a Soraka kind of thing. Throw some spears, and that's really the game plan from now on out, from here on out really. So me just not being a very great late game champion damage-wise, or like teamfight-wise, being the support late game is going to be very, very beneficial for Nidalee. So as you can see right here, I had the healing reduction thing there, so I only healed him for like 350, which is okay, I guess. I'm just gonna use my heals on the targets that need them the most. So right here I can pretty much put Urgot back to full HP. Katarina was still safe, so I didn't have to heal the Katarina. Also, Katarina had a healing debuff on her right there. So, yeah. Alright, land a nice spear on a Lush, actually. I didn't really see what happened there. I just saw him die, but... we chased this one out. Right, Lucian's running. I flashed spear on him because I was pretty much guaranteed to hit that. He didn't have dash or anything. So unless I really whiffed that one, he was going to die regardless. Someone, like, the Vayne is 5 seconds away, so I just... like, she's pinging, she's going for it. We can easily go for this bot tower right now. They're still dead for like 20 seconds. And I have a lot of sustain and poke. Like, the way you see me play these fights is I'm just standing back a little bit more. As you can see, I'm just making sure that I heal my Katarina, heal my Urgot up as much as possible. And stand back as much as possible as well. Now here I'm playing with the Katarina. This guy has stopwatch, which is a very unfortunate item. Playing back, just healing them up as much as possible. Right there, Katarina back to full HP from a 700 heal. And I'm just gonna stand back again. Not being in range of Leona or anything. Urgot's gonna walk up, flash forward. And I'm just gonna, again, in Kura form here, hit whenever I can. At this point, I'm kind of just waiting for the healing debuff to get away from Urgot before I start healing him. I didn't really have that option at this point. I just wanted to put my heal on cooldown again in case I could get the heal on Katarina again at that stage. Now, I really had no idea where this rise went. Apparently, this rise went behind us in this game, so yeah, I didn't see that, and that's gonna cost me my 25 stacks, unfortunately. But I was not paying attention. I was like, alright, he went back to base or something like that, but yeah, instead he came behind us. We only realized this now. I opt to heal the Urgot because of the reason that, well, I'm probably not going to be able to kill this guy. Maybe I could have killed this guy, actually, looking back at this, but yeah, well. I opt to just heal the Urgot to see if he can still get the kill on Rise here, which I think he does. Yeah, so he gets away with it. I only die for it, which is okay. It's not that big of a deal. I only lose like a couple Magi stacks, which I'll easily get back just because of supportive Nidalee playstyle in the late game team fights. Just play back and do the healing / spear poke. You're very unlikely to die, so keeping a Magi's is pretty easy. So Magi's, yeah, for that reason, is a pretty easy and good item to keep on Nidalee. Actually, also, yeah, no, I did have a shutdown. I was wondering if that played a factor in who I healed, because if I were to have healed myself and I didn't have a shutdown and Urgot did have a shutdown, then I would have, of course, prioritized the healing on Urgot right there. Because you definitely do not want to be giving shutdown gold in any case. Now right here, Drake's going to be spawning pretty soon, as you see me spamming. I usually spam ping the dragons for my team, so they actually see it. If you ping it once, in high elo people will see, yeah, okay, they'll play for Drake. But if you're playing in like lower elos, which this is lower elos, this is like Diamond 2, Diamond 1, I think. So I just spam ping so people actually try to follow that. Get the Dragon Soul right here. I mean, at this point, I'm just poking the Rise down. One spear is like a quarter of his HP bar at this point, as you can see right there. The spear, he saw it. Unfortunately, he dodged it, but if he would have gotten hit by that, he would have instantly been half HP, and he would have had to reset. There was no way he could have been instantly in that fight right there. Now, as you can see, my positioning, this is very important as Nidalee in the later game. You definitely do not want to be frontlining, so as you can see, I'm just placing some traps on the side so the targets can't walk in. The dragon spawns, we have the zoning on them, they have to walk through us, so I'm just gonna try to burst this dragon as fast as possible. Picking up a Mountain Soul pretty much means that we win the team fight, so I'm just gonna go and prioritize this Mountain Soul right now. And going from this position onwards, we have the Mountain Soul, and we can go ahead and just be the support again. So I heal my Urgot, Give him the Ardent, give him the attack speed. Katarina goes in. He gets sped up, and Katarina walks through the team pretty much, and it's pretty much over. I think we can end off of that one, most likely. But yeah, just being a support there in this game, and also like the damage graph from this game saw me healing for like 45k or something in total, with also still being one of the highest damage from spear damage output. Like that setup is just really, like, if you have champions that skill into the late game, picking up Nidalee and going support style is most of the time better than just going damage, unless you're really snowballing, because then you're trying to pressure the end games early. But this is really the late game aspect of Nidalee. Just try to stand back, heal your teammates, try to land spares where you can. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Nidalee. I think this ends the game for us here. Yep, there we go. So if you guys have enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Also, if you have any questions, put those in the comments below. Just any questions at all for Nidalee, or just like champions that you want to see for next guides. Also leave those in the comments. And yeah, if you want to see more videos from me, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!